I'm going to be handing over to Mr. Victor Kolumba, who is going to be manning this session, the thought leadership session, underwritten or sponsored by AOS Orwell for the next 45 minutes, more or less. So we are going to work together in terms of eyesight, so how we can manage the session. And after this session, we will take cumulatively all of the questions we didn't attend to earlier on. And then before we close for the day, I'm going to make some other announcements as well. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Over to you, Victor.
Thank you, Ipalibo, and good afternoon, everyone. I know there is some controversy whether 4 o'clock hour is afternoon or evening, but for the sake of this session, we'll call it afternoon. So good afternoon, everyone. All right, so welcome to the last session for today, the thought leadership session that's sponsored by AOS. That's sponsored by AOS Orwell. And to kick things off, ladies and gentlemen, we have Simon Eglov. Simon is of Andres and Hauser, Africa. And he'll be starting with a presentation, after which we'll then introduce ourselves, and then we get to know each other and get into the business of the day. Simon.
Thank you very much. Thank you also to be here this afternoon. I'm very much impressed about the competence and the experience which is here in this room. I'm working for Anderson Hauser in Switzerland already since. I'm responsible for Nigeria and some other countries on the African continent. And yeah, that's it for now. We will dive in more into the technology part later.
Okay. All right, so Simon chose to introduce himself. So I guess we'll just do that before you then make your presentation, right? You ready with the presentation? Okay, so let's just introduce ourselves, then we can go.
My name is Cosmos Wokoma. I am from Savannah Energy. I am the metering lead of my company. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next person I'd like to introduce himself is Benoni Udo. He heads sales for AOS Orwell. Benoni.
You've already made the introduction. So my name is Benoni Udo, head of sales, electrical and instrumentation for AOS Orwell.
My name is Dr. Idibia Clinton, Head of Sales for the new service business for AOS Orwell.
Okay, Simon, floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. So who knows Anderson Hauser? Okay, I can see a few hands. I've already seen quite some instruments we produce on the exhibition. So Anderson Hauser is not a small company. Every year we produce and we deliver 2.9 million sensors. So we are one of the world leading manufacturers. So you can see 3.7 billion of net sales we did in 2024, 17,000 employees. This number has increased to almost 18,000 now because of a new partnership and acquisition with SICK. It's a healthy company, it's a Swiss-based, family-owned company, which invests a lot into the business. So you can see it's like 350 million investments just in 1 year into new products and into new production facilities. Still, the family is involved in the business, and they take their time also for the customers. What we see here is a delegation from Ghana, and the gentleman in the middle is Stephen Andrews, so third generation of the company, takes his time also to speak to customers directly. So, what do customers expect from instruments? Right? They have to be reliable, they have to be available, easy to use, safe, predictive, and connected, working within a system. So we understood this, and we have taken this into consideration for our new product developments. This is a very brief overview. So what does Anderson Hauser do? We don't produce control systems, we have no valves, no agitators or something like that. Anderson Hauser has the most comprehensive portfolio when it comes to field instruments. Right? So let's start with the flow part. What we can see here, I mean, in the oil and gas industry, mostly used is Coriolis, and most advanced technology is Coriolis. If you have water-based products, you can use electromagnetic flow meters for steam, gases, but also for fluids. You can use Vortex. Then we produce ultrasonic flow meters as well as thermal mass flow meters. So as we talk about accounting, we talk about large quantities of fuels and of hydrocarbon. So it has to be very accurate, and at the moment there is no other technology which is more accurate than a Coriolis flow meter. And why? Because it measures the mass directly. It measures the mass, it measures the density. So there is no need of compensation by pressure, by temperature. Also, during the last presentations, I have realized that it's like everywhere in the world, that the water content is a concern. You have to know how much oil is there, how much water is there. You don't want to pay the price for oil and get water for it. So a Coriolis flow meter, as it measures directly the density, it can tell you what is in the pipe. Yeah, if you're counting water or if you're counting oil. It needs a compensation. If you measure with a volumetric flow meter, a turbine or PD, it's interesting how many specifications from engineering companies are still with such technology. Because when you measure volumetric, these sensors are not smart sensors. They count whatever goes through, whether it's oil or water or air or even worse, sand or any other abrasive particles, right? The mechanical meter does not realize. The Coriolis flow meter will tell you. Additionally to that, these instruments are maintenance free. Mechanical meter, you need to replace the mechanical parts. It wears and tears out. You have to keep replacing them. So what that means, it has an effect on the availability of your lines. You have to stop the line, you have to drain the line, you have to take out the mechanical meter, you have to have a workshop, you have to bring it there, you need to have trained people that can repair the meter. Then you repair it, you bring it back, you fix it, you install it. So these are all issues which you don't have with a Coriolis flow meter. And then the accuracy with 0.05% on the density and mass flow is highly accurate. Very easy to install, no inlet, no outlet run. And even there are differences, right? So one of the best instruments, we won some technology awards for that, the German and the Swiss Technology Award, with the highest accuracy when it comes to density measurement. It can measure 1 glass of champagne per cubic meter. So 100 gram per cubic meter is the accuracy in density measurement, what you can expect and what we will get. Additionally, it's low pressure loss. So it has a high turndown ratio. You see the construction we have, you can witness yourself. We have one device here just on the left side at the stand of AOS Orwell. You see the square, it is a four tube system, right? That makes a big difference. You see a square of 4 tubes is higher than only with 2 tubes. So you can handle, with the same pipe size, you can handle higher flow rates at less pressure drop. Also, we have the biggest flow meter, the biggest Coriolis flow meter in the market. Yeah, it has a 14-inch sensor. I mean, the flanges can go higher, can be 16, 18-inch, and so on. But with the immense capacity, 4,100 tons per hour. So, taking that for 720 barrel per day, at the moment, only 3 of these instruments can measure the entire production of Nigeria. And this on high accuracy. Good. So, of course, that's the meter. The meter is the most important part of a metering skid, of course. Many other parts are required. Pipes and valves and air eliminators and flow computers. But the flow meter is the heart of the measurement. So we can help you with the meter itself, or we can also help you with a complete metering skid with a LUCT unit and integrate that into a system. We can help you to bring it to a SCADA. So that's all possible. Here's some examples. Metering solution. This was a truck loading, offloading skid. Also, if you have limited space, you can also take the meter vertical for vertical installation. So we do design and engineering for that. Important to know also, we have the DPR approval ready, so ready to use. Important to know. There was a delegation from Nigeria. We've been to Scotland together with them, and they witnessed it, the quality and accuracy of our Coriolis flow meters. Next one I like to highlight is the level measurement, because when you count, we talked a lot about the dynamic measurement, which goes through pipelines, but there is also a static measurement in tanks, in buffer tanks, in large storage tanks. So here we have radiometric system also, which you can use for density measurement, level, and also switching application under extreme condition. Right? We have a level flex. This is a guided wave radar. You can use it for interface measurement. For example, in your separators, it can detect the oil-water level. Bypass application, fast gas phase compensation, and then we have free space radar equipment. This can be used, I mean, they are very small, compact instruments, size of the microphone, or they are also high precise instruments for large storage tanks with accuracy of 0.5 millimeters. Imagine that on a 20-meter tank, what that precision means. But still, due to the big size, it's still It's important because it's still a high quantity, even 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter. And then we have the level switches. Important to prevent overspills. They have to be very reliable. SIL 2, SIL 3. Some new developments, products we have launched last year was new radar generation, which comes now with 80 and some even with 180 gigahertz. So before you were quite limited with your application. You could not measure in narrow tanks, in deep tanks. You lost your signal due to obstacles. Now, due to the higher frequency, it has two advantages. You only need a very small nozzle, tank entry. 1 inch is even fine. And then you can measure on a very narrow tank as the beam angle is very much focused. You don't lose the signal. So that means now you can solve problems and address applications which was not possible in the past. And of course, you can use that. We have solution for the complete inventory for large storage tanks. Different technology. You can use servo. You can use radar. We have the temperature compensation. We have the level limit switches. We have the pressure transmitters as well for the density calculation. We have the HMI. Complete system as per international standards, like API, for example. Same also for liquefied gas. This is a big topic in Nigeria. Many investments go into liquefied gas. You need to measure properly also to avoid the rollover effect. Right? This can be very dangerous. So you need to know exactly where you, by measuring the density in a highly accurate way, you have to prevent that. And take action before this rollover is going to happen. Here also you need Prothermo to measure, also important to measure the different temperature layers within an LNG tank. One slide about the pressure. We talk about digitalization. I mean, you can see it already from far. Right, that's just a very simple but helpful innovation. You can already see from far if there is a red display, right? So you see from far if there is something wrong, if the device needs attention or if it's working properly. Then you can even connect with your mobile phone to a device, or if you are in an ATEX area with your ATEX tablet. You can connect. You don't need to climb. You don't need to risk your life. Because these instruments are not always working on a convenient place. You can easily connect them. They are wizards. They tell you what has to be done to get the instrument back working. SIL 2, SIL 3. And a very important thing to say also is the technology and the quality of the products is one thing, but what is as important is the local support. And here I'm proud and happy that we work together with our partner AOS Orwell in the country. So they have trained people. They can come and help you to find the right product for your app. Exactly the point. So, in the past, instruments were working and then they failed from 1 second to the other. Switch off. Boah. Problem. Big Bahala, right? So, you have two possibilities. Either you shut down your plant, so you lose a lot of money because you cannot produce, or second one, you fly blind. Okay, and I think that is also safety relevant. Of course, if you managed well, you have spare parts available. You can quickly change, but still, this leaves your maintenance team with a big challenge. right? So they have to have the right device, they have to go there, they still have to maintain it. Hauser has developed a technology called heartbeat technology. So what does this technology do for you? Well, actually, when a device fails, it does not happen from now to then. There are components, there are semiconductors, there are resistors, there are parts of the sensor and of the transmitter that start to drift. They still work, but they drift. And they keep drifting to the moment where they fail. And this technology is able to tell you upfront before it fails. So, you see, this gives you the huge advantage. Your maintenance team can change from firefighting to predictive maintenance. They can take action already before it fails. They can repair it, they can clean it, they can order spare parts. So that is innovation which really adds value. Then you can also do monitoring. You find the sensor delivers information, like if you have foam, if you have corrosion, if you have buildup. All this information can be delivered to you with the right sensor. Here are some examples, yeah? Also mechanical stress, thermal stress. These are all information, or inhomogeneous medium. These are all information that Hauser sensor can deliver. That's a verification. The device stays in the field, it keeps measuring, you connect it, as it's ATEX, otherwise it can be done with your mobile phone. You connect it and you trigger a verification report. And what you can see here is that each part, each component is being checked. And afterwards you get a report where you can see, okay, my device is perfectly working, no problem, or otherwise the report will tell you, be careful, better repaired, better replaced I/O board or something like that. Okay? How much time I have? Okay. All right, thanks. Okay, we have more apps which you can use. On that slide, please be careful. I just want to highlight that the Association of Foundation Field Bus decided to discontinue in future with Foundation Field Bus. So when you kick off new projects, better go for other communication protocols, because in a few years you might not get the support anymore for that. Then what also changed the world is the collaboration with SIG. I've also seen some instruments here already. So the gas analyzer and the gas measurement part is now supported and bought, and the responsibility for that is now also Hauser. Analyzer, I mean, SIG is the market leader when it comes to that. We have worldwide 75,000 installations, and this was in 23. Okay, some more have been added to this. These are all the parameters that can be measured. Please don't be shy. I will still be around for the next 3 days. We can go into more details. Flare gas. That's the government is running a program, monetarization program for flare metering. To reduce flaring and rather to use the gas in a good way to support the people and the economy. SIG has flare gas meters as well, many installation, and here we can see this is a global fiscal flow meter study where you can clearly see that with 10.9% of all the sensors, SIG is the number one. The range of the Casio transfer goes between 2 and 56 inch. Everything can be built also in complete metering skids, provide complete solutions. Nearly every cubic meter of natural gas measured in Europe, North America, has passed SIG flow meter. Okay, here are some examples. I think we have some time constraints. That's one last project I like to highlight is what we did a few years back in Tanzania. So providing the complete solution there. So you see, we have the know-how, we have the competence to also produce such large metering skids with like 30 streams, 360 instruments in 3 different places. There are more projects like this on the African continent. I cannot talk about this yet because of MEU, but we are really making extremely good progress. If you like to know more about instrumentation and what it can do for you, please don't be shy and scan the QR code. We will get back to you. I reached the end of my presentation. Thanks.
Thank you. Nice one. Well done. Thank you, Simon. Please, a round of applause for Simon Iglov, Business Development Manager for Endres Hausa. Simon has taken time to elaborate for us some of the benefits that he calls it a family company, but I think in my thinking it's beyond a family company. They have branches all over America, Middle East, Africa, and Europe. So they are doing big things. 2.9 million sensors they churn out every year. And Simon has also highlighted the weaknesses of mechanical meters. I remember that in our Radel about 2 years ago, 2023, we had some issues about abrasives fluid, right, flowing. And then you would have our areas around the NAC separators would just burst out because of the sand cuts that we're having from some of our strings. And those are some of the examples of the things Simon is describing. And my appeal would be, if you need, like he has, if you leave the scannable stuff there for people to scan, please reach out to Endres for more help. He has said a lot about the biggest, the level measurements, 9,000 patents, and over 100 patents being added every year. So that's quite a lot. I'll then move into the interview session, and I'd like to generally appeal to my panelists. Please feel free to, it's a thought leadership session, right? We are more interested in your thoughts pattern than perfect answers. So just feel free to give us your insights about your experiences in the industry. I'm sure that's what everyone would like to benefit from. Let me allow Simon to rest. My first shots of question will come to you, Cosmos. So from what he has said and from your own experience in the industry, what is the need? Because this year we are moving away from the meter, where we say beyond the meter. And I did notice we started doing this last year. Last year there was a lot of talks around digitalization, but I think we are taking it to a notch higher this year. So Cosmos, what's the need for digitalization in metering solutions in the oil and gas industry from your own perspective?
Okay, thank you for having me. There is a lot need for digitalizing metering in Nigeria. One of the highlights I want to mention is the measurement accuracy and integrity. Because if you're just doing the manual metering, there will not be any accuracy in the measurement. Then secondly, we can look at the operational efficiency when you have your meters being digitalized. Imagine this scenario, you have like 6 or 10 metering system in your station, and you don't see the readings in your control room. They go to the feeds to get these readings. There is error. Human error will be there. So, but when you digitalize these meters, and for engineers, for senior managers, for operators to see, using your SCADA system, using whatever protocol that you will use in your system, so you can see this reading live in any place you are, like you are in your office. That will save you a lot of money. Then another thing is meeting the regulatory compliance. If you don't have your meters, your metering skid digitalized, you will be having errors. So you'll be going forth and back with NUPRC, NMDPRA, and any body you have. So there is need for transparency and trust amongst the stakeholders. Imagine you're supplying gas to a power generation company, and maybe your production report is supposed to be by 12 midnight, and you don't have it. And you are just writing the values and giving them in a blank, in a white paper, without the stakeholders seeing this. There will not be trust. So, and when you digitalize your metering, it will enhance decision making. Because for you to make decision, you want to, all the stakeholders must see that what you are measuring is accurate. So to measure, to have this decision made quickly, that means that all stakeholders must have agreed with the measurement. Thank you.
All right, with the measurements and the result that gives you. Thanks, Simon. So I think that ties back to, I mean, when one of my colleagues was presenting, he told us how we at Radel, I mean, we are currently at what we call the intermediate level. But with the way we are embracing digitalization right now, we are moving towards the advanced stage, right? So you begin to apply things like Internet of Things and AI in our metering system. And I'm sure that's what Simon is also speaking with. Benoni, I'll come to you now. Just add a few thoughts to what Cosmos has said. Still on that.
Okay, so on the need for digitalization, yes. Maybe I take it first from this perspective. I remember sometimes in 2021, the federal government declared the Decade of Gas Initiative. So as at today, maybe 50, 60 years after our first exploration of oil, we're still having challenges about accurate data capturing, about accurate measurements and all of that. And now after that 2021 declaration that by 2030, Nigerian economy would be gas-driven. And I tell you something, yes, as a focus shifts to cleaner energy sources like gas, measuring gas, it's even more difficult because you are not talking about flow rates alone. You are talking about the quality, moisture content, other energy constituents. So how then do you intend to measure that or monitor that with a traditional method of metering or measurement? It's going to be a challenge. And then why it's also important is, let me use your company as example, Victor. Some companies are adopting the integrated model that Aradel has. And I tell you, for such facility, it's difficult for you to track your gas liquid condensate, that from production to the flow station to that. So today we talk about data, data, data. So how then would you manage data without digitalization? So the challenges are there, and the only way that we can solve those problems are by adopting innovative technology.
You're spot on there, Benoni, you're spot on there. Because, I mean, for us, we saw what you just described now, and we had no option than to, very early in the day, start to embrace digitalization. And we are not, there's no regret, no going back for us, no going back. There are people who have sole responsibility, and he's one of them, the one that made the presentation. That's their core daily responsibility, digitalization. So we're not turning back at all. Simon, I hope you've had a breather now, because my next question would come to you, right? I know you've said a lot about technological solutions that Endres Hausa. By the way, Hausa is one of our major tribes in Nigeria. Are you aware? So So what you are putting in the industry? So, but I'd like you to just summarize. What are the major technological solutions on offer right now, vis-a-vis the Nigerian context? If a Nigerian company comes to you, what are those core suggestions technologically that you want to recommend to them?
Well, in the hydrocarbon industry, from the technology point of view, the number one is to use Coriolis flow meter, yeah, because it's not affected by temperature, it's not affected by pressure. You don't need all this compensation, which are adding all the different errors. You measure mass. And you measure mass with an instrument without moving parts. So mass balance is very easy, no loss is very easy because you compare kilogram with kilogram. That's very much straightforward.
Thank you, Simon. Coriolis meter comes again into the highlight there, the importance and the need for Coriolis meter on a whole lot of things. Clinton, I know you are at my extreme, but I'll come to you. I would still like Benoni to take my next question. I mean, recently someone I was asking, well, just having a simple conversation, and someone asked, why do you, we're a group of people, so why do you work for your organization? And then people began to think of it, so many reasons. Oh, I'm an instrument person, I'm a manager and all of that. And the guy said, look, the simple answer is, the reason why you are working for that organization is to help them make money. Pure and simple. So all of those things that you do, you think on the top of your head, the final analysis is for you to help them make money. So, and we've all agreed in this session that the accuracy of meters, right, ties directly back to how much money both the governments and the operators can get at the end of the day. So Benoni, what are the economic imperatives of inaccurate metering or measurement in the industry?
Okay, I think I'll take that one from the angle of the government and then the operators. In 2015, NIHMEC, that is the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, released a report that between 2012 and 2015, Nigeria lost about $9.89 billion to poor metering and allocation. And then fast forward 10 years later, let me take a hop on NURC data. NURC report as at today, let's take 5 years. So in 2021, NUPRC reported that Nigeria lost about 37.6 million barrels of oil to the twin monster of oil theft and poor metering. So there is a gap. Then in 2022, that dropped to 20.9 million barrels. And then in 2023, it became 4.3 million barrels. Then 2024, 4.1 million barrels. And then for this year, the report is that the first 7 months of 2025, that we have lost about 2.04 million barrels. So if you add all of this together, you have, I think, about 69.2 million barrels. Then let's say we take an average, $80 per barrel, multiply by that figure, what would you have? You would have about $5.5 billion. Using today's exchange rate, let's say maybe 1,400, what do you have? I think it goes to about 8.1 trillion naira. That being said, 2025 budget of the government has earmarked about 498 road projects, less than 1,000 kilometers, for 1 trillion naira. So if that evaporated, in quotes, volume were captured accurately, that would have helped us solve about, or maybe fix 10,000 kilometers of road. You can imagine that. Then I go to other aspects. The budget for this year for health is 2.46 trillion naira. Then the budget, 2025 budget for education is 3.5 trillion naira. So that's about 5.9. And yet we have lost more than 8 trillion naira. So when we talk about economic imperative, it is huge. And I'm happy we have the regulators, we have our boss from RAMFAC. So the earlier that we begin to realize that this conversation about accurate metering is not just about technical operationability or so, but it is more, it's also of economic functionality. So once we understand that, we would know how much we are losing, and we begin to bridge that gap by deploying technology.
Thank you very much, Benoni. Nice one there. You've done your maths. I mean, what you say is very relatable. Part of my responsibility in Radel is to be involved with Ogamak Jaja's team on hydrocarbon accounting. And every quarter we meet in a room in Abuja, and then we look at the numbers that are produced for that quarter. And then what you are saying is just apt and spot on. Thanks for that. So, Clinton, I hope you are still part of us. Sorry to have left you behind. But with regards to current practices, right, what do you think are the factors militating against a robust application of digitalization in the industry?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. You see, just like one of the lead speakers mentioned, most times we just look at the immediate investment in metering without looking at the long-term effect, how much we're going to get as a country, as an organization. If we look at take a holistic look at all that, we will know that that initial investment is just a very minute investment to do. So most organizations try to shy away from, oh no, it's going to take us some millions of money to install this kind of meters in our facility. Let's still be doing with this our old technology. But at the long run, you find that you're losing a lot. For example, what Benoni had mentioned now, if we had digital solutions, we will even detect the problems on time because we'll have real life results. And if there are errors, we can correct them like immediately. And we will not have that to linger for that so long. So initial investment is one issue. Also, sometimes people are scared of management of change, introduction of new technology. Some will argue, will it work? Are we sure? This and that. Of course, the strong hands in the system wouldn't want training and retraining. They are okay with the old technology. They just want to remain there on their comfort zone. They don't want something new. Even when you are introducing something new, you're going to get a pushback. So that's also one of the challenges that we are facing in this era. So when you go to market about the new solution, digital technology, they will tell you, please, we can't push this across our system. Just bring like for like. Let us replace with exactly what was there. You already have the part number and all the rest. Just quote the same thing. But we are telling them that you need an innovation. The world is moving. Thank you to the old technology of analog. It has led us from somewhere to where we are today. We say very big thank you to it. But now we have to move ahead. We encourage industries to embrace these changes. So most times you find this pushback. Training and retraining, organizations have to train people because you know the value that you will get from introducing these new technologies. So those are some of the pushbacks, the challenges that the industry is facing. But looking at it, we have come a long way. Digital technology is where the world is moving to now. That's where we are. And we do not forget where we are coming from. We are still on the path of improvement. We must get there. So if you're left behind or if you don't embrace it, the world will move above you and you will struggle to catch up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Clinton. I'll still come to you, Cosmo, with some thought of that. But let me just share with us in the room. I think what Clinton has said is part of what my CEO, Mr. Degbite Falade, would tell some of us when he has us in the room. I said, look, guys, we need to begin to think like business people and not just oil and gas operators. A businessman is ready to spend 1 naira and make 10 naira in return. And I think that's the point you are making. I'm being signaled to wrap up in no distant time. So, Cosmos, I might leave you out of these questions. But Benoni, I'll come to you real quickly again. There are some barriers against digitalization. Would you name one or two of them real quickly?
Okay. So for us, as AOS Orwell, we've been in this business of measurement and automation for the past 40 years. And interacting with customers, I see one basic problem is siloed data. What do I mean by that? You interact with the exploration team, they have a different set of data stored separately. You interact with the production guys, different set of data, facility guys, different set of data. So when you have this kind of siloed set of data, it becomes difficult to integrate. That is one. The second challenge, like Clinton had said, is cultural resistance. When you talk about digitization, by the time this comes, my job would be gone. So because of that, there's a pushback. And above all of that, management or leadership support. Because all the time, why this initiative, about 70%, why they fail is when it doesn't have the management buy-in. So once that is not there, forget about what you are doing.
All right.
So this and a couple of others.
Thank you. My last question would be on regulatory landscape, and I'll come to you, Cosmos. What are the rules? I mean, part of what I do for RIDA is regulatory, from MER to TAR and all of those stuff. What are the roles of the regulators in the current conversation that we're having? In 1 minute.
Okay, the regulators has an immense role for what we're talking about now. Imagine if they are not involved when you do your quarterly validations. That translates to money. So if you're losing some molecules of gas in maybe your orifice meters and it's not fixed, operators, if they don't do validations, the government will be losing money, the company will be losing money. So they have the role, the responsibilities to checkmate operators every now and then. I will even say that they should even go more deeper. Like some operators wouldn't want to even do calibration of what we call or what we know as master meters. And when we beg the regulators, they will say, okay, we want to enable your business. But while enabling the business, we are losing money. For me, I am an advocate of this country progressing from where we are to the next level. So we must do this as quick as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Clinton, your quick thought on that, then we wrap up. Role of the regulators in digitalization.
Okay, I think the regulators, we really expect a lot from them. We need them to unify the system. I know they have a standard, but help us to enforce the standards by encouraging these new technologies, because it's going to save both the company as well as the nation a lot. So the enforcement is really an appreciation of new technologies. One of the areas we want the regulators to do things
for
us.
Thank you, Clinton. Ben, wrap up.
Okay, just to add to that, I would say for the regulators, I think until this moment we see digitization as an option. But I think the regulators need to enforce that and not leaving it open to the operators to choose whether they want it or not. There should be milestones and how it should be implemented.
Thank you. Okay. I see hands from the audience. All right, please. Let's take that. And for me, Ipalo, please, let's coordinate. I want to speak. So, but while we're on that, I like the point Cosmos made. I mean, the new balance post-PIA is the regulators will tell you we are business enablers.
Hello.
And I think part of what Cosmos said is that, look, in a bid to continue to enable the business, please, let's do the right thing. And I can attest to the fact that that's what the NUPRC has been doing. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Just a point of correction. I heard Mr. Cosmos saying the regulator has once did what? Say again? Waived calibration of master meter. Say again?
Sorry, you did not get my point.
Okay.
Like what the moderator just tried to elaborate. I am saying that our regulators, they are doing well, but I want them to do more in the course of helping us to enable our business, enforce the new technology. What I mean is that imagine a company who has some master meters to calibrate. Because you are shying away from how much you take these meters to maybe Trappy, France, or to Rotterdam, Euroloop, you are saying, okay, you want to mop up money before you go this. And you say you want to enable the business. And you go and do proving. You are doing shipments. And these meters are not accurate. It is the company and the country that is losing money. That is my point. I'm only saying that you are here. We want to enforce this law so that everybody will be, their toes should be on the ground. So we do the right thing. That's my point.
Yeah, so first of all, as a regulator, we know that the master meter, first of all, is a very weak means of proving. So we hardly ever approve master meters, except for very special cases, like when you have, a small footprint, or when your location is very remote, or some cases like that. But a master meter being a very weak means of proving, we hardly approve it. Now, when it is approved, the regulator ensures that master meters are calibrated and recertified as at when due. And even for Coriolis other master meters, you will see that our requirements for stability are way more stringent than duty meters. So yes, I just wanted to point that out. Thank you, sir.
All right, the beautiful part of this fact is that the regulators are here. It's a collaboration. We are not at war, so to speak. So it's just to help us understand how that goes in. And, sir, you wanted to say something? Who? Mr. Magdada? Are you okay, sir? You want to say?
So even, I would say in the past, what rarely happens these days, or we hardly let it happen. When a meter, so in an export terminal, is down, like I said in my presentation earlier, we have the dynamic and we have the static. Static is like a backup. A meter is seen not to be accurate. Maybe you export and you load to an export vessel, and the ship short difference meter is out of the allowable limit, which is about 5%? 5%, yes, yeah. 5%. You rely on your static volumes, and then we go to the port of discharge to witness discharge, to know the volume. That is, if you let export continue without the meters, or the meter seem to be, its repeatability is not acceptable, so you have high ship short difference. But that is for a while. At this point in time, we've had several companies that we halted exports from their facilities due to meter issues. So in enabling business, we wouldn't want to shortchange the country. We look at some other ways. Time, with time, for them to fix their meters, but for the purposes of production, you all know we're looking for production. We look at other ways to ensure that what we say it's going out is what is actually going out. Thank you.
Victor, we have one more comment from a regulator, but we need to wrap up this session.
I'm wrapping it up.
It's almost 7 o'clock.
I'm wrapping it up. Yeah, time is incorrect, Ipalibo.
My time is saying to 7. Oh.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Tele Moses, and I appreciate this session. I just want to make a comment, and it looks like a caution to many of us that do economic analysis of oil loss, often than not, we make mistake by putting some dollar value on even measurement inaccuracies, and then eventually say that this much million dollars is being lost. We need to understand that measurement inaccuracies are virtual losses. They are apparent losses. They are figures of oil that has not even been produced or metered. So let me put it to perspective. What you are saying is that operators or injectors say that I have put 100,000 barrels, but what I am seeing is maybe 50. And the 50 I am seeing, because this person's meter said is this, is this, is that. So you are trying to correct that wrong measurement that the meter have set, because this person said that I did 10 barrels, I did that. At the end, the 10 people or 20 people said we have done 100,000 barrels. But what we are seeing in the box or in the tank or where we want to share the oil is say 50. So you reduce it by saying that this meter that said I got 10 is not 10, because there's no good correction factor, they've not applied the right BS&W, and you reduce the volume to what looks like near accuracy. You are saying that this meter should have read 8, but it read 10. And you continue to reduce it until you have a level where you are comfortably matching it with the 50 that is in the box to be shared. So when we are doing economic analysis of oil loss, if we have the figures for oil theft or sabotage or spills, we can put dollars to it and say that this oil is produced and is lost, and we can calculate. But when we begin to calculate what is not even there in the first instance, then I think we are not correct about it.
Thank you very much, my very engaging audience. Thank you. Please, a round of applause for everyone that has spoken, please. I'm glad, sir, that when the government wants to dole out the revenue, they will know where to go to. It will be to the commission and not to this panel. Thank you very much for